So I've got the engine torn down pretty good. Waiting on gaskets to come in. Nobody around here's got them. It's like this is some kind of weird engine for some reason, and no one's got the gaskets. Rock Auto's got them. I've got to wait for them to come in. I've ordered them. A couple of days they're going to be in. I'm going to take this thing outside and get it cleaned up, but I've got this disastrous mess in here once again. I've got to finish up this car. I've got a Trans Am that I'm supposed to bring in next week. I need to bring the Camaro back in and fix the rear main seal on that at least. I also have to do some hockey puck looking things, the mounts that go underneath the frame, in between the frame mounts. They're called frame mounts. I've just got so much stuff to do, and I got called back to work. So I worked a week and I lost a week doing that. I'm also losing next week because I got a bunch more work to do at work where they actually give me money. So this had to be put on hold, and I'm really running behind. It's not winter anymore. Summer's going to be coming around pretty soon. I've got to get these cars on the road. Got to get this one fixed up, and either my beautiful bride is going to be driving it or my neighbor or someone's going to buy it and take it out of here. I've got to get the Trans Am in. I've got the Camaro that's got to come in and do that. I don't know how I'm going to get this done. I don't know. I'm just running way behind. So I think what I need to do, I need to break out the secret weapon. The suit. Well, that wore me out. Even with the suit, I get a little bit exhausted from moving that fast. But I've been thinking, since I really can't get much done with this until my gaskets and parts come in, I've been wanting to do a Camaro video. And just kind of I don't have a lot of video footage from when I got it originally 4 years ago. But I do have a little bit, some clips here and there, and I'm going to see what I can piece together. I just kind of want to go over how it looked when I got it and how it looks now, what I did to it, and the steps that I took to get to where it's at. I'd like to put together just a voiceover video with some photos, kind of like the old school, slideshow people used to do, showing what they did under vacation, and nobody really cared to see it. So you're probably not going to really care to see what I did with the Camaro, but I'm going to show it anyhow, and that's, if you don't like it, I'm really sorry. I hate to bore you. I hate boring you with all of this. But if you watch it, awesome. Love you to pieces. I kind of wanted just to show the steps that I took and the processes as it went along through the 4-year build of the Camaro. But it might be interesting to somebody. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Hopefully you like it. And hopefully you come back to watch more. So when I first got the Camaro, it had been sitting for a couple of years at least and hadn't ran for a long time. It was in pretty rough shape, but it was solid. So I knew I had something that I could work with. And quite honestly, all I wanted to do was get something that I used to drive back in the 80s. Once we'd become empty nesters, I saw an opportunity, and I'm like, hey, let's see what we can do. If I can fix this thing up and would have something nice to ride, I can relive my golden years back in the day. I told myself right away I was not going to be one of these guys that has an old car sitting in his backyard or in his garage for years and years and never got touched and just sits there and rusts away or becomes a shelf in the center of the garage and you can store all your stuff on it. I was not going to do that. So I made sure that every single day I went to the garage and turned at least one bolt or did something to it. The interior was pretty nasty and it needed to be taken out and completely redone, but I was not going to spend a whole bunch of money on it. when I opened up the trunk and saw that it was holding water for possibly years, it was a bad sign because that means all the seals were bad on it and letting water in. But it was a good sign because most of these cars don't have a trunk left, and this thing was holding water and it wasn't coming out. I had to use buckets and shop vac to get it all out of there. So I guess the first thing I did was the trunk. And all I really did was just sand all the loose rust out of there and spray some good old fashioned rust killer in there out of the spray can, and then primered it and painted it a little bit, and it seems to be holding up really well. And then I went ahead and built a deck for the speaker and the amplifier because I really wanted to have it the way I would have built it back in the day, which I always had a nice stereo in the car. But this is cheap stuff. I didn't spend a bunch of money on this, but if you put it together right and you don't want to have your windows rattling and stuff, it's fine. And then the back speaker deck was completely shot. So I wanted to buy one and replace it, but they wanted so much money for it, I couldn't see spending that money on a piece of cardboard. So I went ahead and made one from plywood and some scrap metal that I had laying around. And again, stuck some cheap speakers in it, and it came out really nice, I think. So I knew the thing had old gas in it and it had been sitting so long that it was going to be hard to get it started, but I did some work on that and got it running. We've had it running a couple of different times. There's the gas. It's just burning the fuel out that I'm dumping in. And all that fuel's burned out now, so it's just turning over with no gas. So I've taken the rubber piece off of here to the fuel line, and it's dry as a bone. So that's telling me, A, the fuel pump is out. It's not pulling any fuel. As much as this thing is turned over and ran for a couple of seconds at a time, it should have at least brought some vapors up or something. There's no fuel here. Then either A, the pump is out. So I'm going to hook up a length of hose here and see if I can draw some fuel through the pump, or find out if this thing's clogged somewhere down in the tank or whatever before I start tearing into the tank and changing fuel pumps and everything else. I just want to see what's going on. Alright, so I got my hose hooked up to the fuel pump. I've got it up here by a tank, and as you can see, I spilled a little bit already. So yes, I was successful pulling fuel through the hose, and it's nasty. It smells like varnish. We're going to get it to start pulling a little bit through here and put it into this can. This is my old gas can. It holds all my junk gas from different things. It's hard to create a siphon when the tank is so low. I don't know if I can do it. I might have to jack up the car. I got it to pull a little bit more fuel again. It's just, I don't even want that fuel getting into the carb, but it's already been in there, so it's probably just as bad or worse. So when I finally got it running, and the first day we took it out, the wife, being the speed demon that she is, she says, hey, take it out back and see what it can do. And I took it down a back road, and first thing we did was spun a bearing. So at least I finally knew exactly what I had to do to the car, and that was just about everything. I pulled the engine out, and I tore it down, and realized that yes, the bearing was spun. A couple of them were. Look at the debris in that oil pickup. I mean, there's some big pieces of stuff. So I ordered a new crank and parts, and in the meantime, while I was waiting for them to come in, I decided to go ahead and do the carpet and the interior. I couldn't stand the maroon, whatever color that is, that came in there, and the white, so I just got busy and started painting everything. And the duplicolor vinyl and fabric stuff is pretty good. You just have to make sure you follow the directions on the can. I prepped everything by cleaning it really, really well, and then using rubbing alcohol to wipe everything down and get all the oils off of it before I painted. Just follow the directions on the can. It worked out really well for me. I just really took my time and masked everything off really well and painted everything, several coats, make sure everything's super clean. Put a new dashboard in. I can't remember where I got it, but it went in and fit perfect. And then I ordered and installed and painted new kick plates to accommodate some speakers. I wanted speakers everywhere in the car. And I really don't like the look of the AC box, and I don't like AC. It bugs me. So I got rid of that and had to pull the fender off to get into the squirrel cage and the blower motor, and cleaned all that up and got a new delete panel for the AC and painted that up and put it on. And while I had the fender off on that side, I decided that was the only one that had a real rust problem, so I fixed it up and it came out pretty nice. And then the new parts started rolling in, so I got a new scat crank. I just stayed factory with this. I didn't want to complicate things for myself. And then I did a little grinding on the valves and put some new valve stem seals in. And then I installed new bearings on everything. I kept the old pistons and rods and just put new rings in. Cleaned up everything and then put it all together. And it came out looking pretty nice, and I was worried if it was going to run or not. Next thing, I came up with some old headers that my brother had given me, and I had to clean them up and painted them and baked them with some ceramic paint. They came out really nice. And then a couple of old school cherry bombs to seal the deal. And then after what seemed like forever, it was finally time to put her back in. And I was pretty happy with it. It came out nice. And then one of the last things I did, I wasn't ever happy with the way the car sat. The back end sagged so much. I went ahead and made myself a set of shackles, and they came out nice and worked well, but I ultimately ended up saving myself about $1.50 if I would have just bought some. And I ended up rattle canning everything just to get it on the road and enjoy driving it. I'm kind of happy with the flat black and a little bit of gloss paint that's on it. I really think the rims came out nice. They probably look better than anything else on the car. And one of the first questions everyone asks me is, when are you going to paint it? What color are you going to paint it? And it seems like it's annoying to people, so I might just leave it like that. I don't like annoying people, but I kind of like it when people are annoyed. I mean, it is an old school car, and it sure looks a heck of a lot better and runs a lot better than most of the first Camaros and Firebirds I ever had. Like, for example, this 75 Formula. All in all, it's a work in progress, and I'll be making changes to it here and there. I don't know exactly what yet, but most importantly, I'll be driving it, having fun. I get a lot of thumbs up, a lot of good feedback from people, and it is what it is. It's a 46-year-old car. There's no complaints. The thing goes down the road straight, handles really nice, runs great, and it'll do a burnout. So coming up pretty soon, I'm going to be doing, once the weather gets rolling, I'm going to try and get some concrete videos in, because that's my thing. But since it's been cold and it's slow going, I'm doing car work. And I also got some stuff I'm going to do in the garden back here. I wanted to do an irrigation system, because when I'm working in the summer, I'm gone so much that I don't have time to take care of plants and gardens and waters and pull weeds and all that stuff. I just got some ideas that I wanted to try, and we'll see how that works out. I'll try and get a video of that. But I really appreciate everybody that does watch the videos and likes them, and this isn't something that I normally do. Obviously, I'm not very photogenic, uh, and I don't speak right. But I do like setting up the camera when I'm doing some work, and kind of just sharing with people and seeing how it goes. I don't have a lot of equipment and fancy stuff like a lot of people that do, so I make do with what I've got. And I know everybody else can too. You can. If I can do it, you can. But you got to get the suit to get this stuff accomplished. Most all of this stuff is pretty much common sense. Take pictures before you take stuff apart. Look at the pictures, so when you put it back together, you're getting it right. Take your time. Be careful. Make sure everything that you do is safe. You don't drop something on yourself, or I use 4 jack stands and leave the jack underneath, just so that I don't have anything coming down on me. But again, it's all, I don't have all of the fancy equipment that all these other guys have, and that's okay because I'm not a mechanic. By no means a mechanic. I'm a concrete guy. I do all kinds of stuff, and through the years of raising a family, there was 7 of us at one time, and just if my car broke down and I needed to get to work, I fixed it that night. And sometimes I had to make parts because I couldn't find them. No one had them. You couldn't just go buy them. There wasn't online ordering stuff, and I fabricated a lot of stuff. And it's, again, it's just, you have to think about it a little bit, use some common sense, figure out. You just deduce what is that sound? What is this doing? It's, once you understand the workings of an internal combustion engine, and you know how that all fits together, valves and intake and compression and fuel and spark and power, you can work it through in your head if you just keep your train of thought going, and you can figure out, hey, this might be what's going on, and then check that out and fix it. I am a concrete man. Almost 40 years I've been pouring concrete. I've done footings, walls, highways, homes, garages, basements, stamped, colored concrete, you name it, I've done it. And I love it. I love doing the work. I love the artwork that I'm putting down on the ground. A lot of times it's not artwork, but there's plenty of times that it is. And I've got some photos that I'd like to put up too. I've got plenty of pictures of uh, different concrete jobs that I've done, and I think they're pretty cool. Stamped stuff. I really love doing colored stamped concrete, and I really like just making a nice, clean, new, fresh driveway with crisp, straight joints and fine broom job. There's a lot of physical work involved in it, and that's kind of kept me healthy through the years. And I don't want to slow down. If I slow down, I'm afraid I'm going to stop. So just keep going, guys. Everybody. If I can do this stuff, you can do this stuff. I'm not showing you how to do any of it because I can't guarantee I'm going to get anything right. I promise you that when I'm putting these videos out, I never know if it's going to get fixed or if it's going to get hauled away to the scrapyard. The Saturn, I was 90% sure that Saturn was going to the junkyard. And at the time of this recording, since I did it almost 1,000 miles or more into driving that thing with the new used transmission, and and the new hatch that I can pull the engine out and change things because I cut it. I didn't do that Saturn right, but I did it, and it works fine. And it's getting me back and forth to work, saving me gas money. It's a dependable car. I've given it at least a few more 100,000 miles to go. I mean, and it's not, I didn't do it right, but I got it done. Like I said, I thought that Saturn was on its way to the scrapyard. I really, in the back of my mind, did not think I was going to get that done. This Monte Carlo, I'm feeling good about it, so it's probably going to fail. But hey, it's okay to fail, because if you fail, that's where you learn. And I've learned a lot because I have failed a lot. But that's a good way to do it, because you'll remember those moments that you really failed, and you won't make that mistake again most of the time.